Diane Irvine is with me today to talk about her career and her work as CEO of Healthcare Skills Training International. Dying to know all about it. So over to you, Diane. How did you get into this? How did you start? And tell us about your company.
Okay, well, hello Ros, nice to see you again. Thank you for the invitation. Healthcare Skills started 24 years ago now, mainly out of a need to provide training in healthcare, because the way it's designed, you become a doctor, you become a nurse, you become a surgeon, you become an anaesthetist, and you don't, back then there wasn't a big focus on professional development. And also, if you think about it, we had so much innovation. So all of a sudden, there were so many new technologies and new approaches to learn. So that's when we started delivering these short courses to upskill people, because all of a sudden, surgeons had to use robots, they had to use navigation, we had to use lasers, and these were not necessarily part of your traditional training. But at the same time, because all of these technologies were crucial for patient safety and the safe use of them, somebody had to put some kind of competence-based training in place. And I was very fortunate that I was in a position, having worked with a big American corporate, to be able to do that. And as you can imagine, this was a universal thing. If they need to learn how to use robots and navigation in the US, they need to learn in the UK, they need to learn everywhere. It wasn't a one-off thing.
Wonderful. So, because I remember asking you about keyhole surgery, and my goodness, you knew everybody who had been through the training, and you told me exactly where to go, which was Manchester, and I was on that train and down there, and that's a fabulous thing. That's another whole business that you need to set up. Sorry to add.
Yes. No. As a woman of a certain age, I spend a lot of time referring my colleagues to people that can help them facing the challenges of later life for us ladies.
Right, indeed. So what have been the high points of all of this glorious journey to skills training?
Oof, well, I suppose the measurement of anything, I believe the measurement of anything is the outcome. So I'm very fortunate that I can look back at the qualifications, the programs and the systems that we've put in several years ago now that continue to thrive and are still used and are still useful. So again, the measurement of anything is the outcome. The outcome is we've achieved longevity and we have recognition in our sector from stakeholders. So verify, validate, stakeholders, all the badges. So I think these are probably a big part of our success. And I think because we kind of combine healthcare practice with the academic world, we have successfully managed to keep the business side and the politics of education and healthcare separate from what we actually do. It's very much for individuals and for their professional development, and we tend not to get caught up so much in different trends and what's on this week and what's political next week. So I think that's probably our success.
What size is your company, Diane?
We have about 48 people that work with us to deliver our programs. We are a little bit old-fashioned in that we don't have anybody who's purely academic. We like to have people delivering our programs that were doing the job yesterday. So if it's an orthopedic program, it's an orthopedic surgeon. If it's a theatre program, it's going to be a theatre manager, a theatre nurse. So we tend to have people who are current in their roles. And because of that, when they deliver the training, it brings it more of a reality feeling to it, and it's on point. We don't have anyone who's been delivering lectures on the principles of medical negligence for the last 15 years. We have lawyers who are actively dealing with medical negligence now. We have clinicians who are actively involved in delivering healthcare now. So everybody that we have, the majority of people still do the day job, but they also join us and they have teaching qualifications as well as being active knowledge and experts in the fields that they work in just now.
How fabulous. What great credibility that gives your programs. That's wonderful. Wonderful. So my question is, if you weren't doing this, what would these people be doing out there? Not just in Scotland, but internationally. Would they be pretending that they know the skills or?
Well, again, it's a new day. Validated competence-based training is still relatively new in medicine. In saying that, most things are new in medicine for about 10 years. So it's still relatively new. But what we do is we say, well, he's already an orthopedic surgeon. We don't need to teach him how to do orthopedic surgery again. We just need to give him the skills and the competencies to use navigation and robots. Two things. Or they're already leaders, they're already senior clinical managers, they've already got all their degrees, they've got their working practice. Can we give them additional competencies that are going to help them, and can we do it in a short space of time? Sometimes people say to us, oh, you can't possibly do postgraduate qualifications in 2 days. But it's not really 2 days, because the people who are taking these programs have got a whole host of medical degrees behind them, and they've been in practice for a long time. It's just that little extra that we focus on, and that's how we do this. So people tend to come to us because it's a short-term fix based on their prior learning.
Fantastic. Are there any competitors to you in the field?
There are some in one or two areas. We do some training for the industry, who do theatre access training, but I would like to say, I hope we do it slightly differently, because everything we do is the best that it's possible to be. We have 360-degree quality assurance, and we don't do anything that's a tick box exercise. So we always say you can't get fast, good, and cheap. You won't get all three together. So it's up to you what you choose to go with. But for that's probably our only competitive area. Everything else tends to be rather specialised.
So what's next for healthcare skills international?
What's next? Wow, goodness me. After 24 years, you want more, Ros? Yeah, no problem there. Well, COVID, obviously before COVID, we were doing face-to-face training all over the world. 14 countries, 10 languages. After COVID, we thought, okay, that's it. It's time to retire, hang up my clogs. However, we switched over into the virtual world very quickly, and that has even extended our reach. So I think we're doing more now than we've done before in this different space. So what's next? Probably we're doing a lot more work with the NHS than we did before, because COVID highlighted that there were a lot of things that were perhaps didn't have externally validated training in place. And as you know, it's only when a crisis looms and an investigation comes about that perhaps there are recommendations that appear. So probably that's a new field for us. But yeah, not ready to go just yet.
Indeed, I wasn't even thinking that. And we were talking earlier about innovation. Tell me a little about that, because this sounds very leading edge, what you're doing at the moment. So where does that all come from?
Well, Scotland have a history of being good innovators. You'll know that, Rose, because you and I both set our companies up in Scotland, but we both deal with a lot of other countries. We don't do so much here. So Scotland's always had a good reputation for innovation and med tech. A lot of good stuff comes out of Dundee, a lot of good stuff comes out of Aberdeen, a lot of good stuff comes out of Glasgow and Edinburgh. So we've always been good early adopters. And I think probably Scotland is slightly easier. The network is easier to manage. But yes, we've got a good legacy of innovation in medtech here in Scotland.
Fantastic. And being a female CEO, is there been any
Oh,
years
goodness.
to all of that for you?
Well, I think women in leadership, again, as you know, is a topic all on its own. But I think women are, because we're used to juggling family life and work life, and I think we kind of approach challenges as opportunities. Um, People talk about women leaders hitting a glass ceiling. I have a slightly different viewpoint. I think more women get into board positions or get into CEO positions when they're faced with a glass cliff. Um, and I think what that is leadership roles for projects that probably have a high chance of failure. So women tend to get promoted in times of a crisis or a downturn. But by using our situational awareness to identify and analyze risks, we tend to work away till we find a successful solution. And I think that as I'm saying these words, I realise that's probably my ethos for setting up healthcare skills, is identifying what the risks were. Because so many stakeholders, when we started, said, you will never be able to do that. No one will ever accept these standards. And yet here we are.
Here
They
you
have.
are. How fantastic. Well, actually, on that, I was just going to ask you what 5 traits has made you or have made you success
Wow.
in your
5.
and life.
I don't know if I can keep it to 5. I'm not going to count, but
Or
one
just
of them, which is good or bad, depending on which side of this you're on, I think you can't compromise on your standards. So you have to have high standards in whatever you do, content delivery, people. I think you need to be in training, you need to be learner focused. You need to identify what that person needs to know and is useful to them at this point in time, rather than just telling them what you would love to tell people. Um, Aligning your theory with your practice. And I hope I do that. I hope I practice what I preach. Um, and I think that's it. Hard work, a little bit of ingenuity, a can-do attitude, and success. And then success will equal more success. How many was that, Ros?
kind of doubled some up. So let's look high standards, absolutely. And you have absolutely proven to us that that works. The people you've got working with you and all of that, no compromise on standards. Learner focused, absolutely. It's good to give people what they want to learn rather than what they want.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Theory, I mean, having a fundamental theory, but turning that into really good practice, absolutely. Hard work, can-do attitude, and a smidgen of ingenuity. Well, that is
Just a smidge. Just a smidge.
a fabulous list.
And work with like-minded people.
Mhm.
If you're fortunate enough to run your own company, the luxury is to work with
Oh,
like-minded
isn't it?
people.
You get to
And
choose.
yes, we're very fortunate. It's a team effort. Everybody has high standards. So we're very fortunate. It's a team effort.
Well, I'm pretty terribly pleased as somebody who, you're right, I've become of an age where I'm using the healthcare professionals much more. It's very training them to the best that they can be. Thank goodness for that. Lovely to know and lovely to be able to call you up and say, who should I go to? I hope you'll always be there for him.
Always here,
But
always
yes,
here.
everybody else. As I say, it's a whole thing that you could be setting up quite separately. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me today.
Pleasure.
Good luck for the future. Thank you.
And to you. Thank you so much, Ross.